And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this fourth day of August. Well, today is a very, very foggy day here in Brisbane. It's been, we can still see a lot of smoke and fog out and about. The temperature is not too bad. It's about 15 degrees, and it's going to be a cloudy day today. Well, today we have for you the Daily India report, but first of all, we'll look at the news update. As I just mentioned, that right now, today and this morning especially, there's thick fog blankets in Brisbane. Yes, those glimpses of the thick fog. And if you follow me on my Facebook, you would have seen my post this morning of the pictures of the fog on the river this morning. Anyway, here they are. So that's Brisbane River from my morning walk this morning. A few more glimpses of the fog right here in Brisbane in our backyard, and some lovely pics there. Thanks everyone for the wonderful comments and your appreciation of these pics which I took this morning on my daily morning walk. So as you can see, that thick blanket of fog in Brisbane this morning, even the Story Bridge looks red. And as you can see from the high rises on the side there as well, and there's another glimpse of the Story Bridge there. And if you can look at the fog right here. So how do you photograph fog? So a bit challenging at 4 in the morning, but these are the shots from this morning. This is one I particularly like. You can actually see it right on the river, all going across. The face and a little bit of arc thrown in there as well. And as you can see, the river with the thick fog. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I'd throw that in just for a beginning, for a little quick change, because we will get into the news straight away. Right now, the Prime Minister announces urgent review of Australian Defence Force. There is so many inquiries going on in so many sections. All the premiers coming under fire. There's people who are leaving or quitting politics, leaving parties, and all sorts of things. We are running through quite an unstable times at this point in time, but the Defence Force is not immune to that. So the Prime Minister says there's an urgent need for that review.
China's furious reaction to Nancy Pelosi's visit underscores the new era of instability Australia faces.
When you say that I'm a good friend of Taiwan, I take that as a great compliment.
It raises the prospect the nation could be dragged into conflict in our region.
I would think that if something occurred in the future, that Australia and the United States would still be shoulder to shoulder.
Taiwan is an island democracy of 23 million people in the Indo-Pacific. If their security doesn't matter to us, why should Australia, an island continent of 26 million people floating around in the same Indo-Pacific, be a place that others help when our security demands it?
Launching today's review, the most comprehensive in 35 years, former Defence Chief Angus Houston was blunt about the risks the nation faces.
It's absolutely imperative that we review the current strategic circumstances, which I rate the worst I've ever seen in my career and lifetime.
The last time a review of this magnitude was requested, the Cold War was still underway.
The government is likely to implement the change of direction recommended in the Dibb report tabled in Parliament today.
Paul Dibb ran that review. He says this time the task ahead is more urgent.
This new force structure and force posture review is an order of magnitude more complicated, more challenging, particularly if they're going to deliver in less than 12 months.
The Defence report in 2020 shattered the long-held assumption that Australia would have a 10-year warning before any threat emerged.
In 2020, the Defence Strategic Update observed for the first time that we are within that 10-year window.
We now face the probability of high-intensity conflict in our own immediate strategic environment.
If the review finds gaps can't be filled by the ADF, former Deputy Defence Intelligence Chief Michael Shoebridge says more American forces are likely on Australian soil.
That's the foundation that the government needs for a proper public debate around defence and around deeper, closer cooperation with America and more US forces rotating through here. The public is ready for that, and this review has to help make the politics work.
Could be mind-boggling for few, but yes, that's the way things are at this point in time. And when we look at all those things, the review that is now being called for is long overdue. We're looking at those sort of times. We need to, always keep changing and evolving with times as they move. Remember in my opening remarks today, I said about what's happening to the politicians in the political scenes or with the leaders and everything. Well, here's the next news. Stephen Ayers resigns from New South Wales Cabinet.
Just last week, they were side by side on the world stage. But back on home soil, the situation has changed dramatically.
Late last night, Minister Stuart Ayers informed me that he would resign from his ministerial positions and as Deputy Leader of the New South Wales Parliamentary Liberal Party.
The Trade Minister was forced to go after the Premier was handed part of an internal review into John Barilara's controversial appointment to a Trade Commissioner role in New York. Stuart Ayers had insisted the recruitment process was done at arm's length from the government.
It's very clear from the excerpts that I have seen of the review that the process was not at arm's length.
The review has also raised concerns that the Penrith MP may have breached the ministerial code of conduct.
The advice I've received is in relation to engagement with the Department Secretary in respect of influence on the decision-making process.
Mr Ayers released a statement denying that. In my view, no such breach has occurred. I have always applied the highest levels of integrity in my conduct as a minister. His resignation was announced on the same day the Department Secretary, mentioned in the review, gave evidence to a parliamentary inquiry for a second time.
Did you feel like Minister Ayers was keeping himself arm's length from this process?
I would say that objectively speaking, arm's length is not a fair characterisation of how the process was run. In my view, he was not arm's length from the process.
Mr Ayers plans to stay on as an MP, and there will now be another internal review to determine whether he breached the ministerial code.
Has he lied to you when you've asked him things?
I do not believe so, no.
Mr Ayers is the second cabinet casualty in 4 days. The Fair Trading Minister Eleni Patinos was sacked on Sunday over workplace bullying, allegations she denies. Throughout the John Barilara controversy, the government has been under fire over transparency and integrity. Yet when two ministers have been dumped from cabinet, the Premier has refused to give the details of exactly what made their positions untenable.
They've been taking...
And it is, as I mentioned, quite uncertain times, and these days that John Barilaro and his appointment and the process of that leaves a lot of questions to be asked and answered. And as we've seen from being on that top position right now, there's all these questions around them. Well, right now, let's go from politics to other important thing that's very important on everyone's agenda at this point in time is the fuel and the energy crisis, or the emission control and the climate control. So here's that report.
Anthony Albanese saves his first use of his official courtyard for a big moment.
This is an opportunity to end the climate wars.
On the brink of succeeding where many have failed.
The Parliament is about to, after a decade of inaction and denial and delay, move forward.
Thanks, Prime Minister. It's a good day for Australia. It's a good day for our economy. It's a good day for our future.
And why? Because of this guy.
Tomorrow I will be joined by our Greens MPs in the House of Representatives in voting for the climate change bill. In the first week of Parliament,
the Greens clearing the way for Labor to legislate its 43% emissions reduction target.
And when the bill comes before the Senate, we will vote for it there as well.
Adam Bant says the Greens still want to ensure a legislative clamp on emissions works by
stopping new coal and gas projects.
Is that what you're going to do with the safeguard mechanism?
No, in a word.
Nor have the Greens convinced Labor to insert a so-called climate trigger in environmental protection laws that could potentially be used to stop polluting projects.
It's a Labor bill. It's not a Greens bill.
Anthony Albanese determined not to be seen striking a deal with the Greens, as Labor did a decade ago.
Congratulations, thank you.
The ALP, not forgetting the Greens sided with the Coalition in 2009 to defeat Kevin Rudd's emissions trading scheme.
The question is, how will this look 10 or 20 years from now?
Saved from a massive new tax.
We've suggested.
The Coalition's policy is to oppose the legislation, even though at least one Liberal will cross the floor.
At the end of the day, it's important to me that when I'm back in my own community, I'm able to sincerely say that I used the opportunity afforded to me with the power of my vote.
To his credit, Adam Bant has decided not to make the perfect the enemy of the good, as his party did more than a decade ago, choosing to legislate higher ambition even if it falls well below the Greens' preferred target. As to whether this ends the climate wars, that's highly doubtful. Divisions remain within the Coalition on climate policy, and the Greens will now turn their attention to stopping new coal and gas projects. Andrew Probyn, ABC.
And of course, they might have the bill in, and whether it actually stops climate change or not is another matter, as the reporter said there. Well, right now, staying on the energies and the climate change environment, let's take a look at this report on VHP.
Jessica Farrell, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Jess, you've got deals with some of the biggest car makers in the world to supply nickel to them. Can you meet that demand?
We believe that we absolutely can. I think there's a fantastic opportunity with the Tesla, the Ford and the Toyota agreements. I think it's a sign of a direct relationship with the miner and the car manufacturers, and we're very well placed to provide sustainable nickel to the battery sector.
That demand is likely to continue, and you're probably speaking with other manufacturers as well. Where do you see that demand going?
Look, we see the significant increase. You know, if we look out to sort of 2030 and 2040, we see a 60% increase, in electric vehicles, and then out to 2040, we see that, almost going up another, 30% to 90%. So we see an incredibly good trajectory for demand, and that's globally. And then you look at what's happening in Australia with the recent announcements in Canberra. We'll also see that transition locally, I think, a lot faster than we expect.
So you think by 2040 most of us will be driving EVs?
Absolutely, yeah.
Early in the year we saw nickel prices soar to astronomical figure of $100,000 in that vicinity. This of course was timed when Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia is a big supplier of nickel to the global market. Did that impact Australia's position or BHP's position in the global market then as well?
Look, I think, first of all, incredibly unfortunate situation, and it's horrific, what's happening with the war in Ukraine. In terms of that, we always take a long-term view on our position of the market. We have, long-term customers and suppliers. For us, it is around the continuation in the battery sector, and obviously 85% of our metal going into the battery sector. Obviously, price is, fluctuates with things out of our control, and particularly in the geopolitical environment. But our focus is very much, on providing into the battery sector.
Do you think, though, that we need to be looking for more nickel? Because this demand, if we're going to be, 9 out of 10 of us by 2040 driving an EV, we're going to need a lot more of it, right?
Absolutely. We're certainly not short of customers. We have the second largest nickel sulphide deposit, globally. in the Agni-Walloona belt, which is an incredible deposit. But we're certainly not short of customers, and certainly in terms of what we see in the demand trajectory. As I said earlier, we're actively exploring globally, and we've significantly increased our own exploration spend within the portfolio of the land tenure that we have.
We've talked a lot about EVs, but of course there are batteries that aren't driving around in cars as well. Are you seeing demand for fixed storage too, and will you be supplying that market as well?
Look, absolutely. An example of that for us is, we will have some fixed storage ourselves, with our solar farms up in Leinster and Mount Keith. So absolutely we see that, increasing in terms of, and absolutely that is another form of, obviously a requirement for nickel in terms of those batteries and obviously the charging stations.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih signed 6 pacts to facilitate cooperation in capacity building, cybersecurity, housing, disaster management and infrastructure. During Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih's India visit, New Delhi rolled out the red carpet and during bilateral talks on August 2nd announced key deliverables on defence and infrastructure development. The Mali connectivity projects will be built under India's $100 million grant and $400 million line of credit.
हमने आज ग्रेटर माले में 4000 सोशल हाउसिंग यूनिट्स उसके निर्माण के प्रोजेक्ट का रिव्यू भी किया। मुझे ये घोषणा करते हुए प्रसन्नता है कि हम इसके अतिरिक्त 2000 सोशल हाउसिंग यूनिट्स के लिए भी फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट देंगे। हमने $100 मिलियन की अतिरिक्त लाइन ऑफ क्रेडिट देने का निर्णय भी किया है ताकि सभी प्रोजेक्ट्स समयबद्ध तरीके से पूरे हो सके।
India also extended $100 million line of credit for development projects in the Maldives. Both countries exchanged 6 documents on areas like cybersecurity, disaster management and police infrastructure development. Besides official engagements in New Delhi, President Solih will be holding a discussion with an Indian business delegation in Delhi. The Maldives is India's key neighbour in the Indian Ocean region and occupies a special place in India's neighbourhood first policy. In recent years, the partnership has witnessed rapid growth in all areas of cooperation. India scripts history at Commonwealth Games as the women's 4 lawn bowls team bagged a gold medal, beating South Africa. This is India's first medal in the sport. On the 5th day of the Commonwealth Games at Birmingham, Nainmoni Saikia, Pinky, Lovely Chaube and Rupa Rani Tirke scripted history as they beat South Africa in the women's 4 lawn bowls final to win a gold medal. This is India's first medal in the sport. They won the match 17-10. Lovely Chaube and Rupa Rani Tirke hail from Ranchi in Jharkhand state. Chaube is presently posted in Jharkhand Police and Rani is the district sports officer of Ramgarh district in Jharkhand. Rani rolled the balls wide in the final match attempt to level the score for India.
So much happy. I can't explain the feeling right now because it's a dream come true for me. After last 11 years ago, we lost by 1 point. Now I get it.
ये एक सपना के जैसा लग रहा है और हम तो कभी सोचे भी नहीं थे कि कॉमनवेल्थ में मेडल लेंगे और मेडल गोल्ड मेडल लग गया अभी भी विश्वास नहीं हो रहा है
Lawn Bowls Association President Madhukant Pathak expressed his happiness over the first ever win in the lawn bowl sport. In yet another win for India at the ongoing Commonwealth Games 2022, the Indian men's table tennis team defeated Singapore in the finals, bagging a gold medal. The Indian men's table tennis team led by veteran Sharat Kamal defeated Singapore 3-1 in the final of the men's team event at the ongoing Commonwealth Games 2022 to clinch the gold medal. Harmeet Desai defeated Clarence Chew in a singles match to bring the gold medal home for India once again. India had headed into the competition as the defending champions in the men's team event, having secured gold in the Commonwealth Games 2018 on Gold Coast 4 years back.
There is no words to describe this feeling. I think defending the title is even more special feeling again. Extremely happy with the entire team played really well.
It's always special when you listen the national anthem. You always feel very proud and it's a proud moment.
India won their second straight men's team gold medal at the Commonwealth Games after a dominant display against Singapore in the final on August 2nd. India got off to a flying start in the final as the doubles pair of Harmeet Desai and G. Sathiyan thrashed the Singapore pair of Yong Kuek and Yu Pang 3-0 in straight games before Sharat Kamal played against Chew in the first singles match of the final. The captain had an off day as he suffered a 1-3 defeat, with Singapore drawing the final level at 1-1. The Indian Meteorological Department has warned the Indian states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh of very heavy rainfall in the coming days. According to reports, all three states have been receiving heavy rainfall. Heavy rains and thunderstorms have lashed several parts of the country, especially coastal states along with Himachal Pradesh. Now, the Indian Meteorological Department has issued an important alert warning of heavy rainfall in certain districts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala in the next 4 days. District administrations are bracing themselves for the aftermath by partnering with the National Disaster Response Force teams. Isolated heavy rainfall is also expected in the neighbouring state of Karnataka. Few education institutions have declared emergency holidays for the next 4 days. The Weather Department cited cyclonic circulation over these states as the reason for heavy downpours. Indian Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jhankar is all set for his Cambodia visit for discussions focusing on deepening ties with ASEAN nations. In a bid to deepen ties with ASEAN nations and to take stock of the ASEAN-India partnership, Indian Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jhankar is all set for a 2-day visit to Cambodia. Starting August 3rd, he will attend several ministerial-level meetings with leaders at Phnom Penh. This visit comes in the midst of India's attempt to build stronger ties with South Asian nations, especially those countries that are geographically closer to India. It has been more than a month since foreign ministers from all ASEAN nations met and discussed ties and collective pacts. The year 2022 is being celebrated as the ASEAN-India Friendship Year as announced by ASEAN and Indian leaders in October 2021. Vice President of India M. Venkaiah Naidu has flagged off Har Ghar Teraranga bike rally as a part of the larger plan to ensure every household could hoist or keep a Teraranga on India's 75th Independence Day. As part of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's plan for Har Ghar Teraranga, Vice President has flagged off a rally on August 2nd. This campaign is a part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav for 15th of August, Independence Day.
प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान पर राष्ट्र का हर नागरिक इस बात का उत्सव मना रहा है कि एक तरफ हिंदुस्तान 75 साल आज़ादी के एक उत्सव के रूप में मना रहा है, दूसरी ओर प्रधानमंत्री जी का आह्वान है कि आगामी 25 साल संकल्पों से भरा हो, कर्तव्य निष्ठा से भरपूर हो और अपेक्षाओं पे हर हिंदुस्तानी के खरा उतरे। ये प्रयास हम सब हिंदुस्तानियों का, भारतीयों का हो।
Urging every citizen to hoist the national flag at their houses during the Har Ghar Teraranga campaign starting from August 13th, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said the program will give a message to the world about the determination of the people of India for their country's prosperity. He said the call for flag hoisting at each household under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is also to tell the younger generation about the sacrifices made by the freedom fighters during the 90-year-long struggle and instill a feeling of patriotism among them. Indian cricketer Suryakumar Yadav scored a brilliant half-century ensuring a win against West Indies on August 2nd. In the ongoing Test series, India is currently leading with 2-1 against West Indies. India won against West Indies by 7 wickets on August 2nd in the third T20I, taking a 2-1 lead in the 5-match series. Cricketer Suryakumar Yadav countered Kyle Mayers with a half-century that led to the final win. Suryakumar hit 4 sixes and 8 fours and reached a 5th T20 50 from 26 balls as India topped West Indies' 164 by 5 with 6 balls to spare to bounce back from their 5-wicket defeat in August 1st's second match. Earlier, India suffered an injury scare as captain Rohit Sharma walked off after the Indian physio attended to him in the second over of India's run chase. Earlier, Kyle Mayers' splendid 73-run knock helped West Indies put up a competitive 164 for 5 against India in the third T20 International. Mayers took the attack to the Indian bowlers as he smashed 8 fours and 4 sixes during his 73-run knock. Filmmakers Venkat Prabhu, Paranjeet and Chimbu Devan are all set for the release of their upcoming Tamil anthology, Victim, Who's Next? It will be streamed on Sony Live on August 5th. Ahead of the premiere of upcoming Tamil anthology, Victim, Who Is Next? On streaming platform Sony Live on August 5th, filmmakers Venkat Prabhu, Paranjeet and Chimbu Devan spoke to the media about their short films. Each of them has directed a short film in the anthology. The anthology will feature 4 short films. The cast includes actors like Nasir, Thambi Ramayya, Nataraj, Priya Bhavani Shankar, Kalai Rasan, Guru Somasundaram, Prasanna, Amala Paul, Krish and others in the prominent roles. Paranjeet's Dhammam, that features Kalai Rasan of the Sarpatta fame and Minnal Murali actor Guru Somasundaram among others in the lead, will explore ties between land ownership and caste politics. Ranjit is known for critically acclaimed anti-caste films like Madras, Sarpatta Parambarai and Kala among others. That's all for today's bulletin.
And thank you very much for that news update. Once again, Gopio Queensland presents iconic India Day Fair,
celebrating India's Independence Day on 13th August.
Come experience India at no cost at Roma Street Parklands.
Experience India's culture, music and food.
You will be entertained from 10:30 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. by many talented artists.
The program will begin with a parade from various community organizations,
finishing off with a grand finale laser light show.
Showstopper, one and only the Harbhajan Man, all the way from India.
Come join Gopio Queensland for a fun-filled family day and experience all that India has to offer.
For more information, visit our website www.gopurequeensland.org.
See you all there. Station sponsor, GoPure Queensland.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਹਰਭਜਨ ਮਾਨ। ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਐਂਡ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਦੇ ਸੱਦੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਬ੍ਰਿਸਬੇਨ ਵਿਖੇ 13 ਅਗਸਤ ਨੂੰ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਪਹੁੰਚਣਾ। ਗੋਪੀਓ ਦੇ ਖਾਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਹੇਠ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਖਲੂਸ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਭਰਿਆ ਸੱਦਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਗੀਤ ਸੰਗੀਤ ਦਾ ਗੁਲਦਸਤਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਨੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਰੱਖਣਾ। ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ 13 ਅਗਸਤ ਨੂੰ।
Hello everybody, my name is Ashana Chandra and I'd like to invite you to India Day Fair on the 13th of August at Roman Street Parklands. See you all there, bye!
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your company this morning. But before we let you go, here's some of the functions and events taking place right here in Brisbane. And ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for your time today. And it's been wonderful having your company on this bit of a cloudy day. And remember, we started off with a very thick fog in Brisbane this morning. Well, it's better than the traffic congestion that we had yesterday. It was all gridlock all around here. I was fortunate to be up here watching everyone, poor people stuck there in the traffic. Well, right now, until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us. Finishing off at about 15 degrees and cloudy right here in Brisbane. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us.